Odd jokes today.
My God, why do you always, there's an actual countdown on the screen, Alex.
Forensics finally released this.
What is it?
Personal effects they recovered from Skyfall. You've got a secret. Something you can't tell anyone. Because you don't trust anyone.
I always knew death would wear a familiar face. But not yours.
I was at a meeting recently and your name came up.
I'm flattered London is still talking about it.
It wasn't MI6.
You are a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond.
Welcome, James. It's been a long time. And finally, here we are.
Welcome, Tailoring Talkers. Welcome back to the Tailoring Talk magazine and to the Bondathon. It's the penultimate Bondathon, unless I know, just one more to go. My friends and I are watching every single James Bond movie from start to finish, starting with Dr. No, moving all the way through to No Time to Die. Last time out, we reviewed Skyfall, the biggest Bond movie ever, and today we will be discussing the follow-up, the controversial follow-up to that movie, which has divided many an audience. I am joined today by the Tailoring Talk magazine team, made up of, firstly, what are you? Are you an IT teacher? I'm never sure.
I am a teacher.
Just a teacher? Oh, because you sometimes end up going, I was teaching PE today, and then sometimes it's
Primary school, so I teach everything.
So there you go. So the odd job of education, the voice himself, John Evans. John, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm back at work now. I've had a couple of weeks off, and so I'm back with the lovely, delightful children I teach. Yes, I'm very happy to be back.
Oh, good.
In case they're listening.
And then you'll be at work for 2 weeks, and then it'll be the Christmas holidays.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
We now have, it took however many, 23, 24 episodes of this to actually come up with a theme tune for him, and I will try and insert it when I do the edit. But we have Inspector Gadget himself, Alex Hansford. Alex, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. It's just me today. No special appearances.
Oh, from your arse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was... I almost didn't make this Bondathon because I almost choked to death when I watched that one back and, saw your Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there we go. Speaking of Twin Peaks... we are reviewing Spectre today. We will be spoiling the living daylights out of this movie, so if you haven't seen Spectre, hit pause, go watch that movie, and come and join us for this conversation, debate, whatever it ends up being. I think we've all got a lot to say about this film. So, where to start? Do you guys remember seeing this in the cinema? Because I don't think I've actually seen this since 2015 when it first came out. John?
I went to see all the Craig films with my wife in the cinema. It became a bit of a tradition for us. So yes, I do remember this.
Yeah. And do you remember how you felt when you came out of the theatre?
We were. I think it was a more of the same. Well done. I wasn't blown away, but more of the same and well done. If that makes sense. We enjoyed it. We went, We quite liked the ending and how it kind of left it on what's going to happen next. And we all found out what happened next later on. I think we left feeling satisfied. But it wasn't one that stood out for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But however, later on we talk about this, there are some amazing facets of the film that I really enjoyed watching again. It was like, oh yeah, that is really good, that bit, and that's good. But overall, I think we just kind of went, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, I think I might have watched this in the IMAX.
Anyway, thank you, John. Sorry, Alex, you were saying?
I think I might have watched this at the IMAX in London, the BFI IMAX. That rings a bell. I can't tell you why. I can't tell who it was with. I just remember coming out of it and going, that was an extremely competent Bond. Like it was really, but then it didn't have a lasting feeling until obviously the next film, which we're going to come on to next time. But it didn't sit with me. So when I watched it again, it was really, enjoyable, and I remembered the pieces, but it was just, it didn't have a lasting memory to me.
To kind of confirm that, Alex, because it's quite a long time because of lockdown between Spectre and No Time to Die, wasn't there? I do remember watching No Time to Die and having absolutely no idea who Madeleine Swan was.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I just completely forgot who she was from with a gap. I don't think I watched Spectre again after the cinema. In fact, the second time I watched Spectre after the cinema was for this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think this film came out in 2015, and I think there were some delays with No Time to Die, and we'll get into that when we get to that movie next month. But No Time to Die didn't come out until 2022, I think, because of the pandemic, maybe 21. Wow. And if it was 21, I can't believe it's been 3 years already.
It was 21
right.
September. It was seen as the film that would herald the saviour of cinemas, wasn't it? Which it kind of was.
Yeah.
September 21.
Yeah. Flipping hell, it's been 3 years already.
Yeah.
That's nuts. Anyway, so... I don't remember actually seeing it with I would have seen it with Carolina for sure, because again, like you, John, it was a tradition for us to go see all the Bond films together. So as far as our relationship goes back to Casino Royale. So the Craig movies span mine and Carolina's relationship from beginning to present day. Yeah, I was going to say to the end, but obviously it's not ended. Not that I know of. Obviously, when she eventually gets to this, she's like 200 episodes behind, then it will come. Anyway, so, right, let's get into it. Following the record-breaking success of Skyfall, Spectre aimed to achieve an ambitious feat to unite Daniel Craig's Bond films into one cohesive storyline while reintroducing Spectre, the infamous criminal organisation from the earlier Bond films, which had previously been inaccessible to Bond screenwriters and producers because of various rights issues and so on. Returning director Sam Mendes and the production team faced significant hurdles to pull this off, from on-set injuries to an enormous budget and storyline challenges that aimed to define Bond's past and future. While the result sparked mixed reactions, Spectre succeeded in delivering a near billion-dollar spectacle. The production of Spectre was marred by difficulties from the very beginning. Eon Productions faced multiple challenges, including a massive £245 million budget, ambitious location shoots, and a rushed script. The Sony Pictures hack in 2014 exposed an early draft of the script, revealing the production's internal struggle with the story direction and prompting more rewrites than originally planned. Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, veteran Bond screenwriters, teamed up with Skyfall writer John Logan and later Jez Butterworth, known for Edge of Tomorrow, to tie the story together. These multiple rewrites try to unify Bond's previous arcs while bridging classic and modern elements, but some critics felt it led to an uneven narrative. So off the bat, I'll say this. I finished watching the film about an hour ago. We're recording on the 5th of November, Bonfire Night. It's 20 past 8 now. So I literally finished an hour ago, and I watched...
Bonfire Night?
Oh, God. Actually, yeah.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Joke. Tick.
I know. I should have thought of that. So I watched about an hour last night, and then I watched bits on the tube on the way to and from work this morning, and in between meetings, and then I watched the rest this evening. Carolina, she jumped in at the point where Madeline. Spoiler alert, people. Madeline and Bond first encounter Christoph Waltz's character. I'll try not to spoil it too much at the start.
Yeah.
And so she watched it with me this evening through to the end, so the last half an hour. She enjoyed it so much, or was so engrossed in the story, that right now as we record, she's in the living room with the door shut, watching it from the very beginning.
Well, again, the whole thing all the way through.
Yeah,
that's good.
She didn't see it all the way through. She just jumped in with me this evening when I finished it. But she was like, "Oh my God, I want to see it from the beginning." So she's now watching the whole thing.
Having watched it again with my other half as well, I enjoyed it way more the second time than the first time. So I wonder if, yes, it might not be as memorable, but it holds together really well. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's almost.
That was going to.
I was going to say, it's almost an Empire Strikes Back film, isn't it? That you've got this set up before Die Another Day. So maybe when I watch Die Another Day and I know who she and Madeline Swan now is, I will look back at this film and appreciate it more. I don't know.
Alex.
No time to die.
No
time to die, because I was just reading something about Die Another Day. And I'm really sorry, Bond fans.
Anyway, so he's crossed the 50 threshold. So yeah, old man syndrome.
It's been a long day.
It has, yeah.
I know. But that was going to be my question to you guys, which was, the whole uneven narrative thing, because there are people that actually do think that this is one of the best Daniel Craig Bond movies, and there are other people that think it is an absolute pile of shite, and that the story's incoherent and it doesn't make sense, and that there are MacGuffins galore, that they, it's very contrived because of how they all of a sudden, because they got the rights to Spectre and Blofeld's character back, that now it's like, okay, well, let's just...
Quick, get them all in, use them all!
Yeah,
take all the fan fiction boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. What did retcon? Let's just retcon all the previous films and, try and make this Bond universe kind of work, which, I think for me, it kind of worked in places, and then there were other little bits that were a bit jarring, and it did feel a bit forced in places. But overall, it didn't really detract from my weird, surprising enjoyment of the film. So I really liked it more this time round than I did last time. And I was even thinking to myself that if I wasn't recording with either, I was actually hoping you guys would message and cancel so I could just watch it with her again. But there was so much
this,
that I know, that's the problem.
Enjoy it too much.
Whatchamacallit, second time around, what was I going to say? I enjoyed it the second time around. And I think, you just picked up a lot more. There is so much detail in this movie that you kind of miss in the cinema, because obviously the spectacle, you're getting distracted with people on their bloody phones and munching popcorn
Don't
really
get me
loudly.
started on that.
The ones that have to buy stuff in cellophane packets and wrinkle it all the way through bloody film as well.
That's a separate podcast, Bobby. Don't get me started. I can go full victim
Okay,
fine.
I think we should. By the way, I think we should do an episode on movie etiquette. I think people need to be re-educated on what going to the cinema is all about.
I mean, we'll have to quote the church's rules, won't we, Alex, at some point?
Yes, we will. That's absolutely right. We'll have to. Maybe we can add a few of our own.
The rules of the Church of Entertainment, they have their own rules. We'll talk about them later on.
Okay.
But what I was going to say on that note is, because we're watching these films monthly, pretty much, aren't we? Regularly.
Yep, we are.
I am picking up more from each film from the previous. For instance, there's a scene in, which we're jumping ahead here, there's a scene in Spectre where Bond plays back a message from M. So it's kind of recorded after her death. But if you look very carefully, if you go back and look at the previous film, she is wearing the same clothes that she was wearing at her desk in her office when she got the message from the previous villain. So she obviously got that message and then recorded this message for Bond, knowing her life, from Skyfall, her life was, doomed. And I like that attention to detail that they've picked up. They got Judi Dench in to do that scene with continuity from the previous film. And you don't really notice these things when there's 3 or 4 year gaps between the films, but when you do watch them month by month. And I like the fact that Sam Mendes has paid attention to those little details, which means he's really paying tribute. He's been really considerate and careful with the Bond franchise, which, admittedly, like any director for these Bond films, they've got Barbara over their backs, breathing on them, making sure everything's perfect. But I just think that's a really nice little touch, and there's plenty of those in this film, actually, if you look carefully.
Okay, well, on that, I'm going to veto what you just said about him. Like Sam Mendes, if you're listening to this, which you never will, I'm going to wrap you on the fricking knuckles. So climb down off your fricking high chair, like puffing your chest out, that John said that you were so fricking conscientious and whatever he would write on your school report, giving you an A+. There are 2 things that really jarred me. Number 1, when they get to Morocco, to L'American, and Madeline falls asleep in her dress. Yeah. But then when Bond breaks through the wall and finds Mr. White's little secret room and Madeline joins him, she's wearing that sexy negligee thing. Well, she fell asleep in her dress. So, and then the other thing, on the train scene, when they're having dinner, it's pretty much, there are other people in that carriage, in that dining car. As soon as Mr. Hinks turns up, right?
Dave. Oh, Dave.
There's no one to be seen. But then with guns going off, they'd be screaming and stuff. Suddenly the train was completely empty. What happened? Did all the passengers just jump off?
Well, wouldn't you? If you saw Dave Bautista coming in at high speed doing that, wouldn't you leave straight away? You wouldn't stay and watch, would you?
I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'd shout. I'd be like, what's Drax doing on the train? Where's the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
They'd just been running down the corridor going, nope, 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 down to the buffet car somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Those were the points you came back. That was it. That was the highlight of your flaws for Sam Mendes.
I think.
Okay. Well, let's carry on then. So after that fight, where he pretty much, because now we're okay. Fine. You want to do this now? Let's
start at the beginning.
So after that fight, he definitely gets broken ribs, whatever. Okay. I got hit by a flipping SUV on my bike a couple months ago. I'm still going to milk it. There's no way that I would want to, I mean, as beautiful as she is, there's no way that I would boff her straight away. Oh, after the fight, what should we do now? The guy's probably completely fucked up, right? Broken ribs, bruises, cuts, all the rest of it. And then they're going to go and bonk straight away. Are you kidding me? Seriously?
Can I interject
I would
as
turn
the
around
shag
and be like,
counter
no,
here?
sorry, love, hang on a minute. Ooh. I really want to, but not now, okay? I've got to get home, wait until we get back to London. I need to have MRIs, I need to have scans. It's probably going to be the NHS. So calculating all the time it takes for that to happen, we can do it in about 18 months' time.
Oh, no, MI6 has got very good private healthcare. I would say that the act of Carmel Congress releases some pretty good endorphins that can help heal the body. So it's almost like Bond was prescribed shag number 2, which it is in this film, to help him heal effectively. That's all I'm going to say.
And don't forget, they ordered a dirty martini, so they're probably, that was the painkiller for them.
I noticed that the martini had like 2 olives in that looked like dangling testicles.
I did not notice that, Bobby.
Grow up, people. Stop it with this nonsense. The plot of Spectre opens with a grand sequence set during the Day of the Dead festival in Mexico City, where Bond is pursuing an assassin linked to Spectre. This sequence, a carefully choreographed, uninterrupted long shot, required meticulous planning and nearly 1,500 extras I read somewhere as well that it took over 3 months to plan before they even got on location to film it. The scene from Bond's stealthy movements through the crowd to a high-altitude helicopter fight set a high bar for Bond's missions in the film. I did think this is up there with one of the best Bond opening sequences ever.
It's very, very good.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Very good. It sets a really good tone for the film, I think. Which perhaps you might disagree. You might think it doesn't follow all the way through, but that's a great start to the film. You're right.
Yeah. How was the edge of your seat looking, Alex, after that?
Oh, it was great.
Is it moist?
It's a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I you can't fault that shot. Like it just and it's one of those things that you just end up, you hold your breath while you wait to see when they do that cut, and then eventually you have to breathe because you run out of breath. But it's just that's shows you that it was a good film technique that was really appropriately used. And what an entrance! I think it's really good.
And Daniel did a very good job with that suit. I mean, it looked way too tight for him, didn't it, chaps? What do you think?
Okay, so look,
very tight.
I did like the suit. It was very tight. I know Alex sent this video.
Bulges in the right places.
Suits you, sir.
I mean, it was too tight because he did have to keep pulling the sleeves down all the time. And also the chest was bowing, the lapels on the chest were bowing open, which again is another signal that either the half girth, the waist part of the coat was too tight, or it just hadn't been set for his chest properly in the first place. The other thing as well is that I did read somewhere that Daniel Craig was not as cut for this role as he was for his previous Bond films, so he put.
Well, he was 47, Bobby. That's only 3 years younger than me, and I would find it very hard to get that buff and maintain it. So I imagine he found it quite hard to keep the Bond physique at his age, and probably why he was thinking about moving on from the films. It must have been quite hard to maintain that.
I'm kind of wondering
physique.
what other films Daniel. Let's have a look. Daniel Craig movies.
Well, I mean, he's done Layer Cake years ago, but then. After that, you had like Knives Out and The Glass Onion, didn't you? And I probably think after No Time to Die, he was quite relieved to have a bit of a break from the whole training regime.
Yeah. Bobby, do you think it was a stylistic choice? Because the thing is, he also had a lot of input into his own clothing this time. So, or do you think it was something else? Because I can't. It's one of those things that I feel like they would have sized up and said, "Yeah, we're going to need to change this," and then someone had made a decision.
I think in this film overall, he came across. I mean, he really came across as the ultimate superhero assassin. Daniel Craig isn't that tall. I think he's maybe 5'10". I'm just going to Google that to make sure. God, it's always difficult. Oh my God, now I just knocked my microphone over. Sorry, trying to edit that out. Daniel Craig height, 1.78, 5 centimetres shorter than me. So he's 5'10". So he's one of the shorter Bonds. And when you're just the other side of 6 foot, the underside of 6 foot, the best thing to do is to actually wear things that are more fitted and more tailored because it makes you look taller.
Right.
But I think they went too far. So I think whoever was responsible for creating his suits, particularly for that opening sequence, basically just got it wrong. And it could be that it was just too late for them to do anything about it. Because certainly, I mean, if I was like a wardrobe consultant on that movie, I'd have been standing behind Sam Mendes. I mean, it wouldn't have got that far, but if I'd been called to set on the day and Sam had said, "Hey, Bobby, can you come down and do me a favour?" I'd have said to him, "Dude, listen, we need to at least try and let that thing out because you can't have him. It's detracting from the actual action itself because you kind of get a little bit distracted by him constantly sort of pulling the sleeves down." And
do you think, Bobby, that the average Joe who watches this would care?
No, I don't think the average Joe that would actually give a shit.
So is it such an issue? Is it such a problem? Are we being a little bit too?
Because the average Joe wouldn't care, John,
critical.
because he looks overall, despite
Buff.
these little, he looks great.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He looks. He's got swag. He looks fucking amazing. He looks like how every other guy generally would want to look. So, that's why I've never been that overcritical, because I think overall in this film he looks great. I mean, when you look at his later suits, like the black herringbone 3-piece he wears.
Oh, that's lovely.
With Monica Bellucci.
Yeah.
He looks fucking awesome. And then later on with Madeline, when they're waiting in the desert and he changes
That Brunicelli suit he's wearing there, isn't it? Is it Brunicelli suit? I think it. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. I think he's wearing that.
It is. I mean, despite the fact he's done a fan of that too short. Yeah.
It's not a suit though. I mean, that's not a suit, by the way, Bobby. It's a mix and match. His trousers are a slightly different colour to the suit. I know that because I watched Alex's video and he talks about it. But it looks amazing in the desert. And I think Daniel Craig, just as you were saying, Bobby, he can wear it so well, can't he? He can get away with it. Whereas I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I look like I've just got dressed for my school speech day in that suit. So I'm, a little bit jealous of the Craig Meister and the way cloth hangs off his frame, to be honest. That's why he gets paid, $39 million for this movie, apparently. Highest paid Bond.
That's why he gets the big bucks.
Yeah.
I can make anyone look and feel like James Bond, John.
Or maybe that's going to be our follow-up podcast then.
Exactly.
Nice.
After the other things that I liked, let's just stay on this opening sequence.
Yeah.
Things that I liked were little nods that reminded me of past movies that I'd missed with Skyfall, that reminded me of some of the great moments from the Connery and the Roger Moore days, like when the building collapses and he slides down and then he ends up bouncing onto the sofa. I just great. Really loved that little bit. It was so great.
I loved his we're back to suits, but I loved his skeleton suit and top hat that he wore. That he was also wearing over another suit. But I thought that would be a great Halloween costume to wear. And no one would know what it was, but I wouldn't care. But I also felt like it was a nod to, is it Diamonds Are Forever? Which is the voodoo film?
I was Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. I thought, sorry, yeah. I just felt that was like a little nod to Live and Let Die. That the style, the Dias de Muertos, Day of the Dead, all those outfits, which, I mean, they must have spent a fortune on the costumes for this scene. An absolute fortune. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was a lovely little nod as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can see where a lot of the budget went on this movie, right? I mean, $245 million is crazy. Just to finish kind of running through the general plot, after his Mexico mission, Bond's investigation leads him to Rome, where he learns of Spectre's reach and encounters Lucia Sciarra, played by Monica Bellucci. The organization's leader, Franz Oberhauser, later revealed to be Ernst Stavro Blofeld, holds a vendetta against Bond due to their shared past. Blofeld's character, played by Christoph Waltz, is unsettlingly calm, only to reveal his sinister intentions as the story unfolds. Bond's discovery of Blofeld's influence over his past enemies adds a personal twist to the narrative, transforming Spectre into a reflection on Bond's legacy as an agent. In the snowy Austrian Alps, Bond meets Madeleine Swann, played by Léa Seydoux, Mr. White's estranged daughter and a psychiatrist with ties to Spectre. Their partnership evolves into something deeper, contrasting with Bond's past relationships. In the climactic act set in London, Bond must confront Blofeld in a battle that echoes classic Bond finales, with Bond ultimately choosing love and leaving MI6 behind. So yeah, I mean, I think for what they did, suddenly having to, because there was also a Sony hack back in 2014, I think it was.
Well, they had to change some of the devices, didn't they, for the film as well? Mm-hmm. That they used. Sorry, Karen.
Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think there was some clumsy dialogue in there, but I think overall as a story, they kind of made it work.
Do you think?
I was kind of along for the ride. We were in the heyday of the Marvel Cinematic Universe at that time. So, I guess people like us were kind of like, oh yeah, I can see how that would work.
Do you think that our writer friends were planning this reveal when they started the Craig franchise? Do you think that their intention was that, or was it just a clever little tie-up that seemed to work very well? Because we've got Mr. White
I-
running through this all, haven't we? Which is kind of one of the threads, even back as far as Vesper. Which was it just convenient? Do you think for them, or do you think it was? I mean, it was planned ahead of time. I can't see how it could have been with all those years.
I think it was good timing that they got the rights back, and they were like, "Hey, let's just retcon everything and try and work this in." Maybe they had an eye on the future, but I don't think Daniel Craig, although he was contracted to do one more, there was also all that publicity at the time where, he was sort of live on chat shows saying, I'd rather slit my wrist than play Bond again. Yeah. So there was all of that sort of going on in the background as well. Alex, have you got any intel on? See what I did there, because we're talking about MI6 and shit.
Very good.
Nice.
Have you got any intel on the whole Spectre rights issue and so on?
No, not really. It just sort of arrived, didn't it? I can't remember what actually happened.
Rebooted continuity. By November 2013, MGM and the Kevin McClory estate had formally settled the issue with Dan Jack and MGM and acquired the full copyright to the characters and concepts of Blofeld and Spectre. Blofeld consequently reappeared in Spectre, played by Christoph Waltz, and with a new background or backstory. So November 2013, so this is after Skyfall comes out and they were already starting to work on the next film. Then you had the Sony Pictures hack somewhere around 2014, so they have to rework the story. November 20, so it all ties in. So 2014, the Sony hack, suddenly the writers have to rework everything because everything was leaked. At the same time, they've managed to get the rights to Spectre and Blofeld back. So they're like, okay, well, if we're going to rework the story, let's do this.
Just great timing. I'm just really lucky that it all tied in together.
Yeah.
It's just that. Can we, when you mentioned about the plot, just going back slightly, I don't think that any of this was implausible in the way that some of the other stuff was implausible. I feel like as we go through this, and then we're like, oh, well, we're going to combine like 9 different intelligence systems. I was like, yeah, I can buy that. I mean, I don't really care about it, but like, yeah, fair enough. There are set points, set pieces where you're like, why would you have a data center in the middle of a desert? But they're all items that I honestly didn't think twice about. I think some other ones.
Well, Bond's dentist chair, where Blofeld was drilling into his head, was a little bit.
Yeah.
Again,
that was questionable.
Well, don't forget that wasn't it the original Blofeld that had him on the table with the laser, saying "No, Bond, I expect you to die."
Yeah.
I wonder if that was kind of a homage to that a little bit as well, because that's a little bit science fictiony, isn't it? Really,
The cat was totally the
cat was a touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the cat jumping up on his lap was an interesting one. So I like that. I just think it all held together.
Was it not Ulrich Goldfinger that had?
Yeah, you might be right.
On the table.
Yeah,
you might be right.
Not Blofeld.
Yeah. What's a detail between friends?
Well, no, it's pretty fucking major.
It's quite a major detail. You're right.
Blofeld is not Goldfinger, is he?
No, Blofeld was played by an actor who also played a Bond, a 00 agent in a previous film, if you remember rightly. The actor who played the original Blofeld was also an early, either a CIA liaison or an agent alongside that gets killed in Japan, I think, stabbed through one of the paper walls. So that was always a bit confusing for me. But maybe it was a Bond on the table being torture reference that's been in previous films, is what I mean, Bobby. I just thought that was a bit.
That's true.
The whole put a needle in his head and he forgets people thing was a little bit implausible, Bobby. That's what I'm saying. But apart from that, I mean, I think the fact that the whole complex in that crater when it gets blown up broke Guinness World Records for being the biggest film explosion was really cool.
Yeah.
And the fact they had to do it in that take with them sort of walking away from it and just hope it all worked was really cool. And again, if you're a big fan of explosions in films, the Digital Corridor crew, their video podcast they do, their video YouTube channel talks about explosions, and they actually go over the details of that explosion if you're interested in more detail. But
yeah,
great scene. I thought
on
that
YouTube.
Yeah.
On YouTube, there's a really great little short where they go behind the scenes of that. And it was the biggest actual proper practical movie explosion in history at that time. So I don't think I don't think anyone's broken that record yet. But because people tend to go for CGI because probably it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Let's just go run back a little bit and talk about casting, because we have got a couple of new main actors in this film. And I do want to say at the jump that whatever people think of this film, good or bad, the cast were all brilliant in my honest opinion. You had amazing actors in this right the way through, and every single person did the best job, and they were all wonderful. Daniel Craig, first of all, returns as Bond. His portrayal of Bond had grown more rugged and introspective by Spectre, which highlighted a weariness that Daniel Craig reportedly felt off-screen. During production, he sustained a very serious knee injury while filming the fight sequence with Dave Bautista.
That's why everyone left the train,
who played Mr. Hinks. Craig's dedication to performing his own stunts, including the brutal train fight, exemplified his commitment to realism, but also underscored his physical limits after 4 films. The other thing as well, in that opening Mexico sequence, because that was filmed after the train fight sequence, he's carrying a knee injury when he's doing that rooftop walk, and I think his leg was strapped as well, which you can kind of tell if you look at the twist of one of the legs on the seat. Usually it's because there's something going on underneath. So there we go. Christoph Waltz as Blofeld. See,
he's brilliant in everything, though, Waltz, isn't he? It's trouble.
Oh, God, he's so good. Yeah. I mean, my 2 favourite roles of his were, obviously, he was terrifying in that opening really scene. Good. Terrifying. And in Django.
Oh, yeah.
Django Unchained. Yeah, he was so good in that as well. His casting as Blofeld brought high expectations due to his Oscar-winning turns in Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained. Blofeld's reimagined backstory as Bond's adopted brother gave Waltz a unique twist on the iconic villain, emphasising jealousy and resentment. However, reactions to this familial link were mixed, with some critics feeling it overly simplified the villain's motivations. At the time, I agreed with that, but now having watched it again, I understand why they rewrote his backstory, because it kind of fits in with their whole trying to ground this Daniel Craig series in a sort of realism.
As Alex said, I found it plausible. I found that whole... Yeah, I agree.
What did you think of knowing that he was Blofeld second time round? Did you find yourself, like I did, kind of mentally sort of wandering back to Telly Savalas and Donald Pleasance and, Charles What's-His-Face, people that have played, where we've seen Blofeld previously, and sort of trying to make my mind up as to whether, I kind of preferred the more sort of, cat stroking. I'm glad the cat made an appearance.
He was wearing that. He was wearing that high
sitting.
That's the very, very legendary high-collared jacket that was worn by Pleasance as well, wasn't he? That which must have been a big risk for them, because they were at risk of being kind of gold membered there, weren't they? Austin Powers, because it's a very Austin Powers look, isn't it, as well? So I thought that was quite audacious that they did that, and I think that helped Blofeld feel authentic for this film. I almost felt there wasn't enough Blofeld in this film.
Yes,
I know he does appear in No Time to Die, but only as a kind of a subsidiary role in that next film. But I just felt I would like to see more of Blofeld, more of him posturing, really, because I could watch 2.5 hours of Waltz just being Waltz, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I'll tell you the comparison I kept making, Alex. I kept thinking of Austin Powers and Dr. Evil's backstory when it was revealed in Goldmember that they were brothers.
Yeah.
Actual brothers, right? Separate, the car accident.
Love it.
I thought that was actually more plausible as a story.
And just have a picture of Craig going, what?
What?
Brilliant.
Leia Seydoux as Madeline Swan. Okay, guys, here's a potential spanner in it. I can't believe you didn't remember she was in this when you saw No Time to Die, John.
I don't know what went wrong with me. I really don't. But she's lovely, isn't she?
She represented a complex departure from past Bond women. Her connection to Mr. White and experience as a psychiatrist give her a unique perspective on Bond's profession, and her chemistry with Daniel Craig builds as she moves from reluctant ally to love interest. Seydoux's character was intended to mirror Vesper Lynd, hinting that Madeline might be the woman Bond could finally settle down with. I thought she was brilliant. I thought the arc, like between, you know, her absolutely hating and despising him to then suddenly being completely in love with him, happened over too short a space of time.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Then, mind you, maybe considering the stress, we don't know how much time actually passes and how much time they actually do spend.
Stockholm syndrome, really, isn't it?
Yeah, daddy issues as well. Don't forget daddy issues. If she grows up with someone who's in the business, that
scene where Blofeld shows her his suicide is quite powerful, I think. Actually,
very.
I mean, Leia Seydoux is a very accomplished actress. She was excellent in, and I watched her in The Beast. If you haven't seen that, that's a really interesting film. And there's is it Crimes of the Future? Crimes of the Lars von Trier film, which is very strange, but she's just she's one of the actors that can emote without talking, just from facial, just from the way she looks, which is a real skill to convey feelings through looks only, or without having to talk. And that's she pretty much, I think, in some cases, outclassed Daniel as well. Yeah, which is saying quite a lot, because he's brilliant at this as well.
And remember, she was in June 2. She bears a Harkonnen seat.
Yeah. Are
you proud of me, John?
Well done. Well done. Very good.
Look what you've done to me. Now, question. Where does Madeline Swan rank in the pantheon of Bond girls?
Oh.
Because I was thinking, as I watched this, this throws a spanner in the works. She's
definitely top 5. Top 5 for me, I think.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
I mean, Monica Bellucci was in this as well, remember?
She was. She gets overlooked here.
She was actually auditioned for Terry Hatcher's role when she was a bit younger, but didn't make it to... Yeah. Why they choose Terry Hatcher over a younger Monica Bellucci?
No idea.
She was,
that doesn't feel... Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, does it, to me?
No.
But there you go.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Who's your top 5 then, Alex?
I don't really... I think we're going to have to do... I think we're going to have to do this in the next pod, because I don't have...
You said you agreed with John. John said she'd be
in
my top 5.
I do, but I can't place at the moment who I'd have in it. That's the issue. I need to, but she's blonde. I like blondes.
Okay,
it's nice.
Why don't we play a game? Why don't you describe their faces and we'll try and guess who you're talking about? So you've only got to do 4 because she's one of them. So who's the other 4?
Vesper Lynd, Eva Green is in my top 5. James
Seal. Asking you. We're talking we're trying to get into.
Denise Richards. That's a good one. And Sophie Marceau.
In that white tack top. Well, Sophie Marceau is very good. No, I'm with you on that one, actually.
The tank top is just... It brings me back to Starship Troopers.
Alex is... John, come here.
Whisper, don't let Alex hear.
I think this shows that Alex is thinking with his dick.
What gives that away?
Denise Richards, you literally...
Denise, give it... Okay,
can you actually remember what she looks like, Alex? Just be honest, Alex.
No, I can remember that. That's fine.
Okay, sorry.
We're being very rude.
So
there are some really...
Denise Richards and Sophie Marceau from both from The World Is Not Enough.
I'm going to say that there are some really strong ones in the most recent set. So the one that comes to mind. I don't know how I feel about Rosamund Pike. I just felt like there was no chemistry there, which was a bit of a shame. There was what did John call her? Sex trafficking woman from Skyfall.
Severin.
Severin.
Oh, yes, Severin was very nice.
Bernice Marlowe, I think it is. So yeah, she was very strong. Yeah, I don't know.
What
It
about
needs
Bambi and Thumper, Alex? You're missing the Bambi and Thumper, aren't you?
no.
It's got to be Solitaire.
well,
Jane Seymour's got to be in there, surely. Solitaire was just...
Okay, John's got a definitive. Go for it, John.
I think... I mean, there's so many to choose from. I did like Caroline Munro, who was Naomi in The Spy Who Loved Me. She was suffering from massive IBS at the time, wasn't she? Unfortunately, so she's a little bit irritable. Definitely Jane Seymour. I mean, I'm not going to put them in order at this stage here now, but definitely Jane Seymour.
Have to.
No, I think Diane Rigg is definitely in my top 5. Just the classic beauty of Diane Rigg. I actually like Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, interesting.
Halle Berry is up there for me.
This is definitely showing that you're not a racist.
No, and I mean, I'm not a racist, Bobby. That's true. I do like. I do, because I've always been a big fan of Honor Blackman. I do like Pussy Galore as well. Yeah. It's got a bit of soft spot for Honor Blackman. Having said that, Léa Seydoux, probably actually all right, Bobby. Top 3. Rigg, Seydoux, Seymour, Green. I can't think of my 5th one.
Rigg.
I said Rigg, yeah. So I think perhaps what we need to do is commit more to this. Get this written down and post.
This needs more time.
Post
more
No
thought.
Time to Die. I think we need an episode between that and the Mission Impossibles, where we go through our top 10 of everything in Bond, from the stunt scenes to the music to the films. Probably completely conflicting with what you said in the past 2 years about the films, but having seen all the films, doing some proper research, I feel a spreadsheet might be in this somewhere as well.
Definitely a
Bobby.
spreadsheet.
I think, because I'm thinking one of my top villains is Jaws already, that we need to have like a bracket or a kind of a top 10 list for all this, just as a little sort of post No Time to Die depression podcast more than anything else. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Hinks, played by Dave Bautista, who had one word to say in the entire film, shit, just before he died.
It's brilliant.
But
did he speak in English then? Is he Brazilian, Dave Bautista?
Of course he could speak English. He'd already been in Guardians of the Galaxy by
Had he?
that stage.
Had he?
Yes.
Okay. Why am I going? Why am I thinking that?
Guardians was back
what
in,
nationality is he?
2012 or whatever.
Okay.
Isn't he American?
Maybe I'm getting mixed up with another actor. Yeah, he's born in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, exactly.
He has Filipino and Greek
that
ancestry. I think maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
Okay.
And also because you remember him most as Drax, where he doesn't really speak English very well. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. But he was great. He was very menacing. I mean, I don't know what was up with his metal thumbnails, but,
He was kind of a Terminator character, wasn't he, really? This sort of relentless, strong, surviving everything like Bond, chasing him down and down. I quite liked his presence in the film.
Well,
and
you
couldn't have that monologue about it.
I thought Daniel Craig's Bond in this film was more of a Terminator character.
Yeah.
If you look at the way, no regard for his own safety in the desert sequence, the way that he just comes out and the way that he's just shooting at people without getting any cover, precision, he's just a killing machine, which we then see expanded towards the end of No Time to Die as well. And also that scene where they put the blindfold over him.
Yeah.
Because they're taking him to the old MI6
he
building.
He patches the gun or something. He did a little antic.
Yeah, exactly. Completely blind. But in that moment, I was like,
wow.
Shit, he's deadly.
Tell you what, he spent at least 400
assassin.
Hours playing GoldenEye, hasn't he? That's what it is. That's what it is. More hours than you, Bobby, probably.
Probably, yeah. I doubt it, actually.
Jumping off buildings.
Then we've got the returning MI6 team adding continuity. Ralph Fiennes returns as M. I thought he was great. He had a real sort of menace to him.
Did you notice in this film when they unveiled that beautiful, bespokely designed DB10, which was beautiful?
Yeah.
They only made 10 of those, didn't they? Did you notice, by the way, that when Q, who I love Ben Whishaw in these films, who said, no, this one's been reserved for another 00009. I wonder if they're referring to the lady in the next film. Doesn't she replace him as 007? Spoiler for the next film.
She was never introduced. Lashana Lynch was never introduced as 009. She was always 007.
Well, I wonder if that's who the car was for this one. I don't know if they did mention it. I have to look at it again.
No,
but
I think you're just reading too much into it.
oh my God, I'm right.
He had-
Bond law. I mean,
He did have
it's
his
a rabbit hole.
number taken away,
Yeah,
didn't he?
true.
That was the thing. He had his number. That was the point of the next one. But I think,
but he was brilliant. My favourite line of his was at the end. Now we know what C stands for.
That was good.
he started that off as well. He started at the front saying, "I will call you C," and then and then
I remember in the cinema, and I did exactly the same earlier when I saw it 9 years later. He said, now we know what C stands for. And I went under my breath, and then he goes, careless. And I was like, damn it.
Very clever. No, but that's very clever. But it is actually a term, though, isn't it? C is actually an MSX term, so it's quite clever that they've included that. But I mean, who here did not think that Andrew Scott was a wrong 'un as soon as you saw him on screen?
Straight away. I mean, also because this was off the back of Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, Moriarty.
Where he played Moriarty, exactly. So straight away, I mean, I think this was...
He's English.
Maybe... was this before Fleabag and his sexy priest?
I don't know.
I feel like it was, but don't count me on it.
Yeah.
Good actor, Andrew Scott.
Yeah. He's very, very good. Yeah, but you knew he was you also knew he was going to be a goner. Yeah, you knew he was going. You were just like, I'm going to enjoy this because he'll be fun, and there is lots of banter as well, which I enjoyed. Yeah. So that was nice.
Naomi Harris returns as Moneypenny. I was thinking is possibly my favourite Moneypenny ever out of all of them now. What do you think, Alex?
No, Lois Maxwell. She's iconic.
Yeah, I do actually agree with John on this. The thing is, are we talking about a list of ones that we would be like, yeah, that would be my Moneypenny, or are you saying that she was the best Moneypenny?
No, I think if I was Bond, out of all the Moneypennies, I'd probably want her to be.
You'd have that one, right? Okay,
because she's quite. She would keep.
Well,
me in check.
She can handle herself, can't she? She has experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
Again,
okay. Well,
they've given Moneypenny more agency in these films than the previous, and that's a sign of the times, isn't it? And that's fair enough.
Yeah. I kind of feel like John's Moneypenny would be the one from the Dalton films.
Yeah.
Who wasn't, who was barely in it. Alex's would be Lois Maxwell because he'd be able to have a little cuddle with her.
Oh,
when he's when he comes back from a mission and he's
in her
feeling
Ren
to her
outfit.
when he gets insulted by the villains.
Oh yeah.
I think there's a very, very strong case here with Naomi Harris of a spin-off Moneypenny film franchise. That would be awesome.
Great.
That would be
I'd
awesome,
love that.
Yeah, there we go.
She would be excellent.
Her sitting behind a desk.
No, but I think
she had relations in this film, didn't she?
I think she changes her mind. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that could be a hint to a franchise, couldn't it?
That was.
I do have a life, Bond.
When he's on the phone to her and he hears the other guy in the background, he's like,
"Who's that?
Who's that?" I said exactly the same thing at the same time. I was like, "Who the fuck is that? Who's she seeing?" Let's get on Instagram, drop into Naomi Harris's DMs like I did with Freema Agyeman, who's now my friend. That's for another podcast. I'm like, did you not pick up on that, John? You're a Doctor Who fan.
I am not. My daughter is.
Oh,
I stopped.
We need a story about. You need to flesh this out, and expand it. You're going to wait for another podcast. Or you're going to keep teasing it.
I think so.
Right.
Okay.
But
keep listening.
Amy
folks.
wants to know.
You can tell your daughter that I'm friends with David Tennant's assistant.
She'll like that. Yeah.
She'll probably flip her lid. Where was I? Ben Whishaw as the gadget savvy Q. He was so good in this.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah.
Actually, he's really good in the next film as well. But we'll talk about that in the next film.
When Q turns up at the clinic, I said to Carolina, I rewound the scene and I said to Carolina, close your eyes and now watch this scene and tell me who you're thinking of. And she closed her eyes, and as the scene went on, and suddenly she went, oh my God, it's Paddington.
Yeah.
She didn't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The clinic scene was weird. Apparently, the set designers put a whole bunch of there's a running joke about Viagra. That they put bottles of Viagra out for Daniel Craig. I again that the clinic scene. There were hints of other films with the cable cars and the ski resort type things. I just think they very much. This was kind of a smorgasbord of greatest hits, isn't it? This film, in terms of like the without being like nudge, wink, wink in your face about it. You know, we as Bond aficionados, Bond connoisseurs, Bondathons, will notice these things, but maybe a lot of people wouldn't. But I like that. Yeah,
I loved because having shitted on the whole, Q taking the fun out of everything in the last film.
Yeah,
I really, really loved when Bond goes to get his gadgets this time at Q Branch, and obviously, firstly, it's the car, as you mentioned before, John.
Yeah.
Oh, she's beautiful, magnificent, isn't she? Yeah, she's for 009. And then you get this, and he gives him the watch. And he's like, does it do anything? It tells the time, so you might actually turn up on time for once. And then just as Bond walks away, it's that sort of very low. It also makes a very loud noise.
Yeah.
But the best bit was when we see the old DB5 that got destroyed in Skyfall, sort of on a lift being restored. And then Q makes that joke, and he thinks it, and he's really laughing to himself.
Yeah.
I told you to bring it back in one piece, not bring back one piece. And did you see Tanner in the background? He's also having a chuckle as well.
Yeah.
Until Bond sort of, is like, oh, shut up. But I thought Q, they utilised him much better in this movie. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, totally. He really felt, but also he feels really comfortable in the role now, and he was just really set nicely. I kind of feel like the previous one, he was just kind of tacked in on at the end a bit, and I feel like this, he had a real role. What was particularly nice was it also just turned things on its head a bit. So it was particularly given that he put the smart blood in, and then just going, great, make me disappear, or I'm going off somewhere else. And I thought that was a really interesting play on it, because and normally it would just be like a device, whereas actually he was now invested, and I thought that was a really good way of including him. And also just some of the quips that he made about, like, having a mortgage and a partner and stuff, that just kind of cropped. They were thrown in, but they just gave him so much more place in the film that he hasn't had.
I think that matches some of the comments that Moneypenny is making, and I think when you watch the next film, they develop their backstories even more,
yes,
more plausible. They're not kind of cardboard cutouts that are always in Bond's office, are they, anymore? Which is great.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
because,
and that's what gives this depth, doesn't it? So this is
Rory returns as Chief of Staff Bill Tanner, and Bill Tanner always has been one of those NPCs, right?
Yeah.
Non-playable characters in all the previous films. And in this one, he was given so much more to do. And the thing that I really, really liked, and I think we mentioned this previously at some point in one of the episodes, but this version of Bond, as much as he is a superhero, but we do see his vulnerabilities and so on, that Moneypenny, Tanner and Q, they're like his family. He really actually can't do what he does without them. And there's that level of sort of... sometimes it's not quite trust, but there's that sort of foundation of trust between them, where he has to go rogue and he has to rely on them putting their own jobs on the line. But there is this real sense of a dysfunctional family but that is always there for each other. The other thing that I just wanted to and that obviously makes them less than cardboard cutouts now, or periphery NPC characters. It really gets us invested in them. So when what's his name? When Q is on the cable car and those two guys go after him, and we know what's going to happen, right? They're going to kill him. I mean, that I was really worried about him, because I forgot how he got out of that. Which is I think is a big credit to this arc of movies that we're watching at the moment. Yeah, and I was going to say something else about M. I like the fact that this version of M is very hands-on. We saw him grab a gun in the courtroom in the last movie. He got injured in line of duty
Take a bullet,
as well. And in this one, he's tooling up, every bit the ex-army officer that he would have been. I really, really hope that they keep. Probably won't.
No.
I really hope that they keep all of them for the next Bond, but I don't think they will.
That's something for
they can.
I'll post No Time to Die podcast, top 10 lists and speculation. We got to really thrash that out a bit because I think there's lots to think about there.
Yeah. Agreed. But also, he's a good counterpoint,
Yeah.
isn't he? So he just to Judi Dench, which Judi Dench wasn't hands-on really, and so I like the fact that he is. He's not trying to be the same, like in her shoes at all. He's
more Gandalf and less Dumbledore, isn't he? Basically.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Good.
Let's
not Voldemort. Don't say Voldemort.
No, I didn't on purpose.
Let's just talk about some of the other action sequences as well. So we already mentioned the Day of the Dead sequence, but what we didn't talk about was the second part of that after the rooftop chase, which is the helicopter. The stunt pilot performed a 360-degree flip. No, a series of 360-degree flips over the crowd below, which I thought was ridiculous. I don't even know how much the insurance would have been for that. It was
some helicopters can't do that, can they? Some helicopters can't fly upside down. So I'm always a bit nervous when I see it happen in films. First of all, I ask myself, is that really happening? Is it a model or CGI? But then if it was a real helicopter, so it did it. So a lot of helicopters just can't do that. It's not possible to fly them upside down. So it's pretty spectacular.
They said it was the Red Bull helicopter.
Oh, right. Okay. Which
so maybe
has
they
a jet,
they
doesn't
had
it, at the back, one of those.
Yeah. So maybe that was specifically that kind of. So,
yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah, very good. And I mean, honestly, we should go through the action, but in general, the action scenes were impeccable.
Yeah, definitely.
Like all of them. There wasn't it wasn't really flawed. Some bits you might be like, okay, is that it? But it was just held together so well.
It's a very polished film, this, isn't it? In terms of this.
Exceedingly well polished. Yeah.
The Rome car chase, guys. We've got what I thought was a pretty good car chase with the Aston Martin DB10 going up against Hinks's Jag CX-75 through the narrow streets of Rome. And we got to see some gadgets as well. But, I mean, to talk about how Bond got hold of the DB10, because this was 009's DB10. We had that really funny scene a little bit earlier where Q's goes back to his workshop, sees the door slightly ajar, and then the car's completely disappeared. And then we see Bond has driven it to Rome. I assume he drove it to Rome. That must have been a lovely drive. But it had gadgets on it, but we won't talk about that just now. We'll talk about that when we get to the next section. And then the train fight. That was very reminiscent of Sean Connery's fight with Robert Shaw?
Robert Shaw, when he was blonde. Blonde Robert Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Still my favourite Bond movie. And all of that was done. There were no doubles. That was all done by Daniel Craig and Dave Bautista as well. And it was a very flinchy fight. I kept going, ow, ouch, ow, oof. So, which is probably why I was all the more shocked when he then goes and boffs what's her face at the straight after.
Yeah.
There was a lot of throwing him through walls, which is impressive considering it's a moving train.
Yeah. And then obviously we had the big sequence at the end in the old MI6 headquarters where, Blofeld has entrapped Bond again and he has to rescue Madeline and he's got 3 minutes to do it, which...
It's like a really, really terrible escape room, isn't it, this? Like a really, really, really bad escape room.
They would be dead because it actually took him 3 minutes and 26 seconds.
Did you time it, Bobby?
I did. Yeah, I started my start.
Bless.
You also
Alex.
forgot the airplane scene when Madeline Madeline's
in
hijacked
the
and then
yeah. That was nuts.
yeah, that was very good.
John doesn't remember it because
I'm trying to remember it now. Link it to the narrative.
don't
What was
joke.
the reason for the airplane scene? What was the airplane scene?
So Madeline was hijacked, captured, wasn't she? Because this was in the clinic.
Oh, yes,
And,
yes.
And then what happened was that Bond and
He wrecked the
Bond
plane,
and
didn't he?
Q went their own separate ways.
Oh, doesn't he
And
drive
then
down
he
slowed
got
it and rips wings and things off it? That's
that's exactly
Yeah, I do
it.
remember that. Yeah. That's good seeing that.
He goes through a really narrow forest
Tree,
route
right,
as
tree
well,
line, yeah.
which is what takes his wings off. So sorry, Bobby.
you're
I
right.
just think it's worth mentioning, and then it just because he bursts through the
house.
Bursts through the house.
Yeah.
So he does all of that.
There was a disturbing
which I
lack,
thought was quite
though,
good.
of like disgruntled, clucking, flying chickens coming out with him when he came out of that house. I thought that's almost like
that was
half
no
the
comedy
course.
to that, which was
No, not at all.
surprising,
Yeah.
really, because it felt like it needed some. We've already done
or
like
a couple
chases.
en flagrante delicto on their bed, looking around at their house wrecked as the planes left them. All something like that.
Yeah. Or if we could get to a point where instead of him being, just getting himself out of the plane, which is a bit obvious, a bit predictable, why wasn't it just like he got to the point where he finished and it was just him in a seat and the
Like
bottom of
John,
it, nothing else.
like John Candy in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where they're driving like
That's it,
the
yeah.
base of the car. Okay.
Yeah. So we could have,
smoke coming
there were
off
so
their
many ways we
suits.
could have taken it. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, okay.
that was all missing from it. Instead, it was just a quite good action
Yeah.
film.
Again,
really.
more plausible.
Action scene. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay, but yeah, the final sequence in the abandoned MI6 building was very clever, I thought, because they had all the photographs of the previous people in his life, didn't they, as well? Pictures of Mads Mikkelsen and Van Vesper on the walls and so on.
Yeah.
It's good
Okay,
scene.
cool. So, so I think now we're a bit overdue our next section, which won't take long, but
No, it won't.
let's see. No. Well, neither of you knows which one's up yet, but let's see.
Oh.
Yeah, it's John, and he's gonna bring us some sex back. Anyway.
Good old Justin. Okay, first check number one is Mrs. Scario. I wrote down on my notes here, Shag'em, Bag'em, and Tag'em. I don't know why, but I think I was pretty miffed by how quickly it all happened, and he got up into his suit and left her on the bed in her negligee, going, right, see you later, love, I've got to go and, go to a meeting, a SPECTRE meeting or something. So that was Shag number one. And then obviously number two was the surprise turnaround relationship between Leia. After the train fight, Dave gets barreled out the train, just says one word. And as you said before, Bond and Leia find the non-quiet coach. I have a picture of some trains with a little speech bubble coming out one of the trains. It just says, "Oh, James," in it. So that's Shag number two was Madeleine Swan. A shag of
That was
import,
it.
I think. A shag of import because, by the end of the film, he's doing a Diane Rigg departure moment in the car, and love is in the air, and Bond is leaving the service. So quite an important congress, I think, between the two of them. But that's it. Okay, just two.
Oh,
I think
I
that's about
wonder-
the average for Bond, isn't it? Two a film now, really.
Yeah.
For-
it is
for Craig Bond.
Craig. Yeah.
So I've got some homework for you, John. I just want to mention before I forget, I wonder if that was the moment of conception, without spoiling anything to come.
Possibly, yeah. No, possibly, yeah.
If you think, we need to look at the time lag between No Time to Die and this film, but that could have been it. But I'm sure after they went off across Westminster Bridge together, there was plenty more shenanigans going on. Right, now it's time for our, what generally is our favourite section, because you know, we get to put Alex under the spotlight.
Not at the moment, it's not.
Oh, very good.
When it only took 24 episodes or whatever of the Bondathon to actually get in the theme tune.
Dancing. Go, Gadget, go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, much. I'm not going to subject you to our singing again, Alex, because that was really cruel last time. But yes, it is over to our gadget guru, Alex Hansford. Take us through the gadgets of Spectre.
It wasn't a bad showing, to be fair, this time. I think the nice thing was at the start we had Smart Blood, so I think that was quite good. Obviously, it wasn't just a watch, so it still had that explosive charge with a 1 minute timer. Did you measure that one as well, Bobby? Because I feel like that wasn't 1 minute. It was
No,
like
I didn't.
it skipped.
I sort of was speechless when Madeline said, "I love you," but because I've got Dolby Atmos, it sort of sounded like she was saying it in my ear, and I was kind of feeling a bit awkward.
That's wishful thinking, Bobby, I think, there.
Yeah, totally.
So you had that. The obvious one, like the plot device, was the 9-eye surveillance system. Fine. It was just loads of PowerPoints and screens and stuff. There was nothing impressive about that. I quite liked the fact that there was a little hark back to one of the previous ones when he hacked into C's computer. They had like the
flying through the tunnels VFX
like
sort of thing.
Yeah, and it was like a sort of cryptographic thing that he was unlocking, and they had to try and show it. Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I see what you've done there. Yeah, that's nice. Makes no sense, but fine. Like, it's not a problem."
Yeah, please don't start your flipping geek debate from the last episode, because really,
no, I know there's not really much
attention
to
numbers
go
on
through.
YouTube went like that for that section of the thing. I think they're all
because everyone's an iPhone user. That's what it is. You're no fun.
And you're debating it with an iPhone user, so
I know. I'm losing the battle here. There was when he was listening to right at the start in the first scene, he had a laser microphone attached to the gun, which I almost missed. Yeah, that was it.
Call of Duty fan here. He was using a Glock 17 with the laser attachment to it.
Yeah, so that was useful. And then the torture chair is the obvious one, although you can count other bits if you want. For some reason, it has here, and I don't. They've got Hinks's thumbnails. Now, I wouldn't call Hinks's thumbnails.
Sorry. Wait. They've got. It says here. This is meant to be your segment, Alex. You're meant to have done this homework. Have you been deceiving us for the last 20, many episodes?
That's just one of my. It's just one of my sources, Bobby. That's what it is.
Fine.
But they put that on there, and I was like,
"Well, I mean, he used them to gouge out one of Spectre's dude's eyes, didn't he?"
He used it once. And I just don't feel like it's there's nothing special about it, but also I don't think there's much to it. I was just like,
I mean, they are available right now at Christie's auction. The thumb mounts, you can buy them.
Are they really?
Yeah, for between 3,000 to 5,000 British sterling pounds.
Wow.
There's four of them.
I did not think that
There's
was...
four, a set of four,
Oh.
and they have stick-on mounts, like fake nails, basically.
Didn't think
However,
about that.
when I say now, I mean the auction closed in 2016, and they sold for £5,250. I just went to the next page.
There we go.
Just
where some
quickly,
of my money
whilst we're
went.
on the subject of that, so when he's first introduced, because it's like, is there anyone that will challenge the Spanish dude that had just got up and said, "I will protect this organisation with my dying breath"? And then Hinks just turns up, doesn't say a word, grabs the guy's head, gouges his eyes out, and then breaks his neck, and then just sits down. Which, by the way, I thought was baller. Apart from the silver nails, they looked a bit weird.
I'm sorry, chaps. I'm going to have to ignore you now because I've fallen down a rabbit hole of Christie's Bond memorabilia auction.
Oh,
You can
no.
buy Oberhauser's Moroccan lair costume, the one with the Donald Pleasant shirt collar, right? That sold for £13,750. You could also buy Moneypenny's. Oh my gosh, I could spend hours looking at Christie's stuff. Sorry, carry on.
Okay.
You
I
can
think
buy
that might be a
James
new
Bond's
segment.
JB Tom Ford cufflinks. You can buy Moneypenny's gift phone from Bond. Wow.
Can I mute him?
I've got one more
Alex,
somewhat
sorry, I
legit.
was just saying.
Sorry,
oh my
gadget.
God, I can mute him. Look. Oh,
Don't do
brilliant,
that.
Alex.
That's not fair.
So, Alex, I'm kidding, John. Sorry.
Don't
Guys, listen, just quickly, while we're on the subject of Mr. Hinks, so I was talking about his metal thumbs. Do you think that the writers missed a trick with him? Because they could have made that his thing. Like, it's a shame. I think it's a shame on the train
Like Jaws'
side
teeth. You mean like Jaws'
that
teeth?
he didn't like exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
exactly it. Because
Yeah.
Jaws just bit everything. He wanted to bite people's necks. He'd bite into
Metal
cables.
pipes.
He'd just bite things with his teeth. That was his thing. And it was, and he even tries to bite Roger Moore in their train fight. And I just thought it was a shame that there wasn't a bit where he was trying to gouge Bond's eyes out on the train sequence.
No, he just ended up trying to squeeze his head and again, it maybe didn't look like he had his thumbs in at that point. So so it didn't really have an effect, which again would have been a better use of that. So yeah, I agree with that, Bobby. I think you're right. Missed a trick. So the only other piece that we didn't talk about, which I quite liked, is that the DB10. So, which is what like the most modern Aston Martin that I've seen that was made specially for the film. So they put the most old school like switches on it.
Saw that, yeah.
Like absolutely, just like they didn't even try. They were just like
jury rigged.
yeah. And I thought that was really, really that was a nice nod. It was just like because they've gone past the like high techness. And then they've come back, and this felt really like
Duct tape to the
simple.
console,
So,
weren't they?
yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
But it did kind of stand out a little bit because it wasn't like they had picked something like the DB5 where all real character.
I wouldn't be surprised, Alex, because they were all close-up shots. If they were, obviously they weren't in the car. They were all done in a studio as close-ups, and you didn't see any of the the context where the buttons were. They were so close up, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
But I doubt Aston Martin would
so-
allow them to do that actually to the car.
Yeah, you're probably right. There might be a really practical reason why that's why. Makes sense. But anyway, and the other thing, and this one, it does come purely to me from me. By the way, there's no source for this. Is we always forget about Mr. White's secret room with his tracker that he had. So we totally forgot about that. But actually, that was valid. A little bit old school. It'd obviously been there for quite a while. So quite how that still works after this time, I don't know. But
It's an old Panasonic Tough Book, probably. They last forever, don't they?
Yeah, it did have vibes of like something in the
Those military
90s
grade laptop things.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so just worth a thought. That's me done. Have I got an outro? We'll work on that for the next one.
Yeah, okay.
We'll get it polished. Just by the next one, we'll be really polished on all of these
final episode
sections.
Yeah. 26 episodes and we actually have features.
Yeah, that's right. It's good. Do you want to do it again?
So I was just looking at what I could have bought instead of the BMW M car that I've got on order. And I could have bought like a 2021 Aston 4 litre. But you know what it is? I just sorry, this is a little bit of a segue.
That's a better car.
Bobby, if you did want the DB10, it was sold at Christie's for £2.434 million. £2.5
Well, the
million.
DB10 was never a car that was brought to the mass market.
No, it was auctioned off because only 10 were made.
Yeah.
It was not going to be a future design. It was just a one-off for the film. But £2.5 million for the actual one that he drove in the film, not the one he sank in the water. Obs.
Wow.
It's a lot of money.
We might just get one. We might just get one anyway next year. Okay. But the reason why I think I'm so BMW, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I know the reason why. It's Pierce Brosnan's Bond.
Yeah.
It's just because GoldenEye, the Z3, and then and having that as my wallpaper for so long when I was a teenager, and then that scene, which is is probably my favourite Q scene, or my second favourite, I don't know. But anyway, in my two favourite Q scenes of all time, which was in GoldenEye when he first meets Q, Pierce Brosnan's Bond, and also in Tomorrow Never Dies when he gets to Hamburg Airport and he gets the remote BMW, the 7 Series. And I just think it's Brosnan's Bond is the reason why I love BMW so much, because for all intents and purposes, he was my first proper Bond, because he's the one that I really followed and watched in the cinema and was really properly invested in his films and stuff. There we go. It's a little
Bobby, I had a toy version of the DB5, so for me, Bond's car's always been a DB5. It had a little button that you could press, and the bulletproof shield would come up, and it had a little mini ejector seat, and it was proper die-cast metal and not plastic. So I've always grown up with that DB5 as the OG one that Bond uses in Skyfall, and leaves with Madeleine. Yeah, it sounds like your dogs agree with that as well.
God, yeah.
Do you think that being a BMW driver is just because you don't know how to use your indicators?
I know how to use my indicators.
Not if you're a BMW driver, you don't.
No, but I know how to use my indicators because I'm not a wanker.
That's what the W stands for, by the way, in BMW.
Music, because we haven't talked about that.
Girl Sam.
No, BMW means.
I know what it means.
Yeah.
Shush! You can't say it again on a podcast.
It means Bianca's man's wide. Thomas Newman's score continued his work from Skyfall, incorporating electronic elements with orchestral sounds. Carolina actually pointed this out, because I was saying that one of my problems with this film is they don't use the Bond score at the opportunities that they could have, right? Like the plane sequence in the mountains when he comes out of that hangar. I was thinking that is the perfect, exactly. Right? They just don't, and it was such a shame. But anyway, and she also.
But that's a choice, isn't it? They've specifically chosen that because it was the whole score was quieter than a lot of other Bonds.
Why they made that choice?
There weren't, because there were whole areas where there was just nothing.
The thing is, if you're gonna depart from Bond in such a big tone, because there were sections of this movie, and it's a beautiful film, it looks great, but there were sections of the movie, and I was thinking to myself, Denis Villeneuve could have directed this, right? There were sequences in Rome.
Directed this originally, Bobby? Can you remember? Who was asked to do it before Sam Mendes for this film? Do you know?
I don't know.
Chris Nolan.
Oh, okay.
They were considering Chris Nolan do it. I think he may turn up in future Bonds.
No. I
think he may.
Want him anywhere near it.
Next podcast.
He has doubled down on this whole realism with audio, like actors' speech thing and all of that nonsense. And I don't think he's going to suddenly roll back on it.
He won't turn down the opportunity, surely, to do a Bond. Surely.
No, he won't turn down the opportunity. But the question is, would I want him as a future director for Bond? And the answer is no.
I think I would.
I really
I would. Okay. I think I would. I'd like to see him as a director for Bond.
Start your own Bondathon podcast then.
I think let's talk more about this later.
You've got me all red-faced with laughter now. I've got all gammon. Oh dear. I like Sam Smith's Bond theme. This film, I like it actually. I thought it was quite a good.
It was
Bond
good,
theme.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was really
on the wall.
Yeah.
Really worked against Adele, didn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, Bobby.
Sam Smith's
sorry,
theme
Bobby.
song won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, but polarised fans. Its haunting falsetto and orchestral build-up aimed to evoke vulnerability in Bond's journey, but it was divisive among listeners who expected a bolder theme like Adele's Skyfall. Look, it's not bad, but it is one of the ones on my Bond playlist.
You skip
that
it.
I skip every time it comes on because
Can I just say, when it comes to Bond soundtrack, I listen to a Bond best of playlist, but I have become a little bit habitual to listening to my Bond playlist through my PlayStation 5 Pulse Elite headset, because it can play two sounds at once. It connects to my phone and my PlayStation. So when I'm playing Call of Duty, I turn down the audio, and when the game starts, the multiplayer starts, and we start going, I get the Bond theme to start playing, and I never play as well as when that Bond theme is playing whilst I'm running around a level. It's awesome to use as a backing track for a video game, because you got guns.
Which one? The Sam Smith one?
No, the proper, the very, very first, the original, the OG Bond theme.
Okay.
Deal. And obviously it kicks into randomly to other ones, and Sam Smith does come in, but they all sound really good as backing music to Call of Duty. So, with the sound of gunfire, really, I think it all seems to fit and work. So yeah, I like the Sam Smith. I understand what you mean, Bobby. It's not as kind of dramatic and bombastic as some other ones. But then, as you said, the Newman track was quite subdued, as is the theme music, and maybe that is, as you say, Alex, a theme to the film. You know. A more thoughtful Bond who's deciding to move on. I don't know if that's what they went for here with this, but I quite liked it. It wasn't an iconic song by any stretch, but it was, I think, fitting for the film. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not that it's a bad song or anything. It's great, and especially when you see it with the title sequence as well, which, by the way, is the only time that we see Daniel Craig with his top off in this film. I'm not gay. I'm just pointing that out because of something
there were nipples
about weight gain.
Yeah.
But they weren't women nipples, they were men nipples.
Well, fair enough. Fair dues. About time, isn't it?
No, it's fine. It's an observation of my wife. So I was like, that's fair. After all of the female nipple shots,
after
we now have a bit of equality. So
60 years of female nipples is fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, no, perfectly fair.
Yeah.
I think we should have more.
Okay, thank you. Get off your soapbox, Hansford.
Yeah, right.
Your nipple-covered soapbox. Sorry, Bobby.
Step down.
Step away from the man nipples. Step away.
So, listeners, I'm talking to you now, not those two. Just as an aside, that when I first met them, they were doing a podcast called Tangents Entertained.
Oh, we've got a little tangent, haven't we?
Which then became Playpool's turn. And if you ever want to hear an example, I've got some recordings from back then, and I've also got some emails and Word document.
We're being doxed by Bobby here right now.
Send round,
Alex.
And basically they were the definition of podcast Nazis.
Yeah.
And then after a recording, because I was a newbie, so I didn't know about podcast etiquette and stuff. But bloody hell, would you get your knuckles wrapped if you dared even one word over? And now to see them today is crazy.
Well, we've no doubt.
And I'm back in the room. So, box office and reception. Despite its mixed critical reception, Spectre proved commercially successful, grossing over $880 million.
God, it makes money.
John, go on. I know you want to do the accent. Go on.
No, I can't do it.
This made it the second highest grossing Bond film ever after Skyfall. The film performed well internationally, particularly in the UK, where it broke opening weekend records. However, some critics felt that Spectre lacked the depth of Skyfall, with criticisms focused on the convoluted plot and underwhelming personal connection between Bond and Blofeld, which now brings us on to our ratings and sort of final thoughts and review. So let's find the spreadsheet. While I'm doing that, let's go to... We normally go to Alex. No, we normally go John first. Let's go Alex first today. Alex.
That's fine. I know my score. I'm happy with it. Okay. It's 9.5.
Ooh.
So there is... The thing is...
Wow.
While the storyline is a little bit... like by the by, the plot doesn't really like it. It's useful when we get to the next one. Obviously, it all makes sense. But I just there's very little to fault about this film, and I watched Skyfall going, this is my best. This is the best Craig. This is best, apart from maybe the last one. I was like, this is definitely the best. And then I watched Spectre and not having huge expectations. And I was like, no, this is really good. Like, there is really very little to fault here. And honestly, the plot is the least of my concern. If you start picking at the plot, then it's just not worth it. And I think the thing is, it's just such a difference from Quantum. So if you kind of, you think about where Quantum was, and then you think about this is just night and day, way up there. So 9.5.
Wow.
John.
Interesting. Well, I was going to give it a very solid 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it a lot, but the fact it didn't stick in my mind as quite as much as other Bond films. I don't think before I resaw it, I don't think I can even remember what it was about from the first time I saw it. Which is not a critical downer for it. I didn't find it as memorable the first time round. I really enjoyed it. It's a good, solid film. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it had the same emotional impact as M's death in Skyfall for me. And I just think, it was great fun. I loved it. Just a solid 8 for me. Solid 8. It's not Moonraker, is it? Let's be honest.
This is true.
So
I've just moved The Spy Who Loved Me. I rated that 8.5. I've just moved it to 8.75, so I can give this 8.5.
You are allowed to rate things the same.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, I've got You Only Live Twice at 8.5. And, and that... Right, okay, so here's the thing. So I wasn't expecting, this is a shock, because I thought before I saw it again I was going to give it like a 5 or a 6. But the very fact that I was completely engaged the whole way through, I didn't want to, doom scroll on my phone whilst things were going on. The fact that when it ended and Carolina, I watched the opening sequence with her again, and then I had to jump on this call with you guys. But I would have quite happily sat there and just watched it again. And I really like the detail in the film that I picked up this time round. I think the other thing that I did is I watched it with subtitles because I was on the tube and trains at various points during the day, so I needed to actually understand what the hell was going on. And when you actually put the subtitles on, so for example, the bit where we first go into Spectre's lair and they're all reporting in on,
hear what they're saying.
We've got 1,500 girls, that are installed in the entertainment industry, and another one going on about we're going to blow this stadium up and we're controlling all of the pharmacies. When you actually hear what those motherfuckers are up to, which is not implausible for shit that is going on nowadays, and we're not only recording on Bonfire Night, but it is actually the day of the US elections as well. And we don't want to get political on here, but shit be going down, people. So yeah, I am just shocked that I actually do want to go watch this again more than I want to go and watch Skyfall, which kind of makes me think that I should really be giving Skyfall, I should knock that down to 8.5 actually. It's the same as this, but for different reasons.
They can they can have good marks for different reasons. So they don't have to be where you are qualifyingly better because of these other things.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, let's be honest here, guys. This is not an exact science in any stretch, is it? I mean,
no.
Well, John, I beg to differ.
Not for us.
But the thing is, Alex, right? Is you're right, but at the same time, we are going to have to do an ultimate ranking, and because we've got films, that we've ranked exactly the same, we're going to have to make a choice between them so that we produce our ultimate. Alex is 1 to. So 25.
They can't be the same. They can't be the same mark, but for different reasons.
Well, I mean,
is that what you're saying?
But you're going to have to. We're going to have to pick one. You're going to have to pick one. Yeah.
You're going to have to commit, Alex. You're going to have to commit.
You're going to have to commit, and this is where the
decimal
point.
Diane, Diane,
Alex, what did you give? What did you
Honor
give
Blackman?
Skyfall?
Yeah.
I've got
Sophie Marceau. You got to commit. Sorry.
Skyfall was 9.75,
and this 9.5.
Spectre was 9.5. So I did rate Skyfall higher than this.
Okay.
Marginally, not a lot.
I still prefer Skyfall. What did I give Skyfall?
Yes.
Bobby?
You gave Skyfall 10.
Yeah, I love that film. This is. I enjoyed this film, but nowhere near as much as Skyfall.
Yeah. Okay. So just to recap, that's a 9.5 from Alex, followed by an 8.5 from me, and a very low, disappointing Crave Revel Hallward booing.
Eight's good, man.
From
solid
John.
8.
8 is. I'm joking, John. John is very good. John's 8 is very, very good, especially compared to probably what critics gave it. I actually wonder.
What's it on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment?
The Rotten, so 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. That's 473,000 votes.
Well, we're more forgiving than Rotten Tomatoes, aren't we?
Rotten Tomatoes 63%.
Okay.
Of 368 critic reviews.
And I wonder how that's changed since No Time to Die has come out, though. I wonder if people are given, they've retrospectively changed their marks, like you, Bobby, after seeing the last film.
Yeah, I mean, audience reviews for it, their score out of 5, so if you average that out, that would be 7.6.
Okay, well.
So, yeah. So it's not, I don't think it's as derided as people sometimes some critics make out. Derided, yes, that's the word. Sorry.
It made more money than No Time to Die.
It did. Yeah, that's true. But then No Time to Die was our first post-pandemic.
People may have been scared to go back to cinema. To be fair, maybe
people were. Yeah.
But
I saw it at the cinema twice. No Time to Die. Which we'll talk about next podcast. I saw it twice.
We will.
Yeah, I mean, No Time to Die's done nearly $775 million.
It's not far off, is it?
It's not done bad.
Far off.
It's a younger film as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
All right.
So there we go. There we go. That's it for another Bondathon, peeps. Thank you, guys. That was awesome. We will be back to review No Time to Die, and that probably becomes. We'll try, depending on schedules, to do that a couple weeks ahead of Christmas and get that out, and then our Christmas episode can be a look back at the entire series with our ultimate rankings, which will be interesting. And then maybe in January we'll continue with Bond, but we'll do a little retrospective. And I thought it was a really good idea from the guys to do, favorite action scenes, favorite this, favorite that, etc., etc. That'd be pretty cool. And then we'll by February we'll be moving on to something else. So there we go. Have you had a good time?
Always.
I wasn't talking.
Yeah, it's been great.
Talking to the audience.
Oh, okay.
And I was answering for them. Sorry. Always a good time for them.
You can find us on Instagram at Tailoring Talk Magazine. You can also find us on the YouTube channel, Tailoring Talk Magazine, as well. The video version of this episode will be out before the audio. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And if you tend to listen to your podcast the traditional way, please hit the little 3 dots in your player on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating. Even better, give us a review. You can also message us. Just click the message the show link at the bottom of the show notes. And you can also email us at tailoringtalkpodcast@gmail.com. We always love to hear from you. And those of you that follow me on Instagram, you can also DM me as well. Absolutely love hearing all your feedback and so on. Apart from the guy the other day on our Skyfall vid on YouTube, who basically had a go saying something like, "What a load of garbage, you're misleading your viewers."
Ooh.
Something like that. And then YouTube actually took the comment down. I replied to him and said, "It's a discussion. What part of it did you find misleading?" But then YouTube took his comment down for abuse.
Oh dear. Well, thank you, YouTube. I didn't even know that there. I mean, let's be clear. We are by no means, we don't have degrees in Bondology. We're not experts. We enjoy the films. We are fans. We extract them, Michael, quite often, especially out of each other. If you take this podcast seriously, then you need to take a long, hard look at yourself through one of Q's gadgets, I think, and see what's going on.
Or preferably, you need to sit yourself in Blofeld's chair with John at the controls, and let's just see which of your nerve endings do what when we drill into them. That's it for another episode. We love you all, apart
Except
from
for that guy.
wankers.
Yeah.
We will see you. Yeah, we will see you. Except for
And the
that
BMW
guy.
drivers.
We will. See, and surprise, surprise, he had no picture on his profile thing. So there you go. Keyboard warriors with no photos. We've got no time for you. We're here for love, not hate. We will see you on the next one. Thank you so much as ever. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Before I stop recording, I just want to check, because you seem to do this every week now. Any final things or something that you want to add?
No, I've got nothing to add. No.
No, it's all good.
Do I have to? Do I have to bear all again?
I mean, when do I admit that comment was written by me, Bobby?
Was it you?
No, I'm only joking. It wasn't me. I haven't got time to write. No one goes below that certain line on the internet, do they? We don't look at comments. It's a fool's game.
Oh, no.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be.
That's number one rule, isn't it? Don't
Yeah,
read the comments.
Don't go below the certain.
But do add a comment, because we need it for the engagement. So add your comment.
What's the code word, Alex?
What? So to people who've listened to it to the end, you mean?
Like you said last time. Yeah, you said if you listen to it at the end, if you say this word, then you'll get like a prize or something. You didn't say that, but I'm just speaking for you.
Oh,
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I've got a prize for you.
Yes.
So the code word. Here we go.
You guys aren't in this competition.
No, but if they get it right,
Is he gonna move
if they
the
get it
camera?
right, they can have this as their prize. All right, get a spanking,
a double decker.
slightly fresh double decker. I'll send it to you through the post. There you go.
I think we should. I was going to say, what was the car that he was picked up on
if you listen to this through to the end, and you drop whatever code word Alex has got to come up with, I'll make you a bespoke shirt. You two not included in that.
Oh, what? That's not fair.
Wow, okay, what's the code word going to be?
I think it should be the Silver Race.
Bond's left nipple. There we go. That's the code word, the code phrase. Bond's left nipple.
I don't think you can make that. I would have gone with the Silver Wraith, which picks him up in the desert.
Yes.
But it's not very fun, but it would.
1948.
Yeah, but like, who would guess that? No one will guess that.
Yeah.
No one will reply as well, so that'd be fun.
Bond's left nipple then.
Yeah, Bond's left nipple.
Oh, Jesus.
Must be losing time.
You make this worse for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So
Who's going to reply left nipple?
Bond's left nipple.
On
Better than feeling a right tit, though,
belongs
isn't it?
to
Let's be honest.
Bond's.
Sorry.
Yay.
What about Scaramanga's middle nipple? No, sorry.
I think we need
What's
to.
his name?
Can you?
It's Scaramanga.
Where's the
It's
button to
Scaramanga.
turn?
It's Scaramanga.
Where's the button to turn this off?
We can't
Do I
mute Bobby.
need to-
He's in charge here. We can't mute him. We can't do it. I'm sorry.
But it's still recording. We
What's
should
Christopher
stop
Lee's
that.
character's name?
Scaramanga. It's Scaramanga.
The man with the gold. Is he
Yeah,
Scaramanga?
yes, he is, yeah.
So what's the guy's name in Live and Let Die then? Baron Samedi.
Yeah, Samadhi's the guy with the top hat, isn't he?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Voodoo
Do you
dude.
know what? Do you know how I know these names?
You're looking him up.
Playing multiplayer on GoldenEye.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
64.
I've got a fact for you.
Oh, here we go. This is
Monica-
what I was trying to get out of Alex.
No, it's really not that interesting. Monica Bellucci is the oldest actress to be a Bond
girl.
girl, and we didn't even mention that.
Well, she's older than Bond in the film, isn't she?
Yeah,
Well,
I have mixed feelings about that.
still a beautiful woman.
She's very
But it's all right for Roger Moore, etc., to, you know, when it's the other way around, it's all right.
40
So,
years her
always-
senior. Yeah.
I think it was just how how she was portrayed was like she was done, but that was obviously because she was about to be murdered.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a pity that was the only part that we actually got to see of her. So we couldn't
say it,
see
Bobby.
any other side
Don't
of
say it. Don't say it.
No, I was just going to say, for John's Boff segment, I was going to Bonkathon. We could do a standalone bonus episode, the Bonkathon, where John talks about every shag from start to finish through the entire James Bond series, one movie, 1 month at a time. The Bonkathon.
I don't think so, Bobby. I don't think we have much material, let's be honest.
Well, it depends on what we do with the visuals and stuff.
We could do a shorts on it. We can do a series of shorts. There we go.
Post them on.
There's some dude out there right now using AI to recreate all the geeky films like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, but replace all the female characters with these kind of buxom babes with not much on. And they're getting a lot of hits at the moment because it's almost sort of titillation and porn where it's all AI generated, and it's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a worry what's going to happen next, but the beauty of these traditional Bond actresses being replaced by these sort of buxom AI produced VR, virtual characters. It's a bit of a worry.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Super Panavision?
Yeah, it's the same guy. I think that's those. Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, because they have engagement from young men, they're popping up all over my feed and everything, and it's frustrating because it's not something I look at regularly, but it just appears because it's what the algorithm is choosing for me as a demographically chosen, red-blooded man of a certain age. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
The internet is just a garbage pile. It really is.
These longer outtakes are meant to be entertaining, by the way, guys.
I'm getting depressed now.
We thought you'd turned off. We turned the recording. When are we going to chat?
I'm going to cheer myself up. Actually,
I'm going to stop this now before we kill our.
I think you should, because we know you're not going to cut it out.
Hang on a minute.
We're just going to leave it
up as a prize, you bastard.
I've got so depressed I was to eat it.
For the people on audio, he's eating the bloody double decker that he just put.
I'm going to get another one. Don't worry.
So it's not. So if.
Oh dear.
This is so good.
Right,
I think we're
so
going.
good.